And now this is, I'm pretty sure this was on Netflix. I'm pretty sure I saw this on Netflix. This stars John Hamm. Yes, there's John Hamm with Monsieur Gay Harden doing an accent that I would have thought you were not allowed to do anymore.
Oh,
So the whole idea is that Fletch. So Fletch is this character who's is in a series of novels that were written. I think they were. Oh, we're gonna go back to cinema when we. Oh, never mind. Don't worry, Sean. We'll get you out here.
that's all right. That's all right. That's
Yeah,
cool. You go. Fire
yeah.
away.
So yeah. Oh, it was based on a series of novels. They two of them got turned into films, which were starring Chevy Chase in the 80s. And the ones that were starring Chevy Chase, they were a lot broader. They were very Chevy Chase at the height of his powers. So they were goofy. A big thing about his version of Fletch was that Fletch constantly keeps wearing different disguises to infiltrate a church and all that kind of stuff. This they toned that down, so this is a lot more sort of like, or shall I say, realistic than that, where he's an investigative journalist, and the idea is that he's a very good investigative journalist who, and he's broken a couple of cases, so people sort of like travel him around the world to sort of like solve their cases. He happens to be in Italy, or he's been taken to Italy to find somebody who's disappeared, to find a count who's disappeared, and he ends up in a relationship with the count's daughter. And when
Oh,
he ends up in a relationship with the count's daughter because he's John Hamm. So, but pretty much. And so, through machinations, at the beginning of this film, you see him get into Chicago. Oh no, was it Boston? I think it was Boston. And he sort of checks into this Airbnb that he's going into. He goes into the house, walks down to the basement, and when he gets to the basement, there's a dead body there. There's a dead woman, and he seems totally unflustered by this. He just calls the police, and he goes, "Yeah, there's a dead body here." And the police were like, "Oh, we think it was you." He was like, "Well, I don't see how that could be." and so the whole thing goes on where you start off this thing where he's walking around doing his investigative reportery thing, and the idea is that he's shown as quite a sort of suave character, and whenever he meets somebody, and where in the Chevy Chase one he would always put on like a disguise to sort of here what is he they show that he's just like a really really quick thinker, and he comes up with like a backstory for who he is, and comes up with a backstory for who he is and a name and everything like that, just off the cuff and all that. And he uses that to sort of figure out what's happening, because the main thing is we're trying to find some paintings that are worth millions of pounds or millions of dollars that have been stolen. And it's just like a whodunit. But it's, you have John Hamm being like, the linchpin that holds this whole thing together. And then you have all these weird characters that show up. So as it's an Italian thing, you have the woman who he's in a relationship with is played by an Italian actress, but Mastia Gay Harden plays the Count's new wife. And so she shows up doing a very overblown Italian caricature, shall we
Mamma
say.
mia.
Exactly, Sean.
Yeah.
Exactly. Fletch, why you say that? Fletch, oh, come here, Fletch. Okay, Fletch, it's okay. I sleep with you, Fletch. I'm like, essentially, it made me have to go and Google if Masha Gay Harden has any Italian ancestry. Because if she does, then okay, maybe yes. If she doesn't, yeah, it's a bit broad, it's a bit that, but it's like a whodunit. It's like the kind of sort of mystery film, a bit like 48 hours. 48
Oh,
hours, like,
right. Oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I know
So
that sort of
yeah,
stuff.
they don't really make that much anymore. So
Oh,
it's just nice, simple. It's just kind of okay. Let's go from A to B and let's figure out what the plan is. Cal McLaughlin shows up being weird. You'll be surprised to hear.
that's a
Come
usual
on, characteristic.
McLaughlin.
Yeah, I know. Cal McLaughlin shows up being weird. Marcia Gay Harden shows up being weird. A lot of the different people who show up in the film are just showing up and they're just being weird. And John Hamm's just being like suave and going through the film and everything. And it sort of trips along. It trips along. It's a film that you might forget you've watched after you watched it or anything like that. But while you're watching it, you will have a good time with it. So I would give this a 4 out of 5. I think they probably were hoping that it would kick off another franchise. I don't think it's going to do that. But I think it's a good thing, and I think the reason why it's called Confess Fletch is because in this particular thing, he is a suspect, and the police keep trying to get him to confess, to say that you did this thing, and he's kind of and there's bits of it where he keeps fooling the police and everything. Oh, I'll tell you what, and it's you remember Beverly Hills Cop? The
Yeah, I
first
remember
one.
Beverly Hills Cop. Yeah, yeah.
Remember that there's a bit in Beverly Hills Cop where Target and Rosewood are chasing Axel Foley around, and then he ends up putting bananas in their tailpipe to sort of get them off his tail
Yeah,
while
yeah.
he's running around Beverly Hills. there is a lot of that kind of DNA of that scene in this, with the police chasing him around and him just constantly trying to lose them so that he can solve the case himself. So I think it's quite good. I don't think that they make films like this much. Like that, you don't see a lot of this sort of films anymore. I think it had its heyday in the 70s. But I would give this, I'll give this a 4 out of 5.